Gardner-Johnson's absence, unheralded eye catchers. PITTSFORD NY. For the Buffalo Bills on Monday, full pads officially went on for the first time, but only for a little while. Usually, when teams get to that point in camp, the pads go on and stay on for most of the summer as they make decisions that can impact the whole season. But new head coach Joe Brady took a slightly different approach in his first camp. The team started Monday's practice in full shoulder pads, but about halfway through, just before 11 on 11 team drills began, each player went to the sideline to remove their shoulder pads and put their jerseys back on.
Then I found Lulu Talks tea and everything shifted. Once I started drinking it, my mornings were ruined in the sense that they'd never be the same again. I began waking up feeling rested and energized, something I hadn't experienced in years. My new routine? Just 1 cup of Lulu Talks in the morning. On top of that, my menopause symptoms have eased significantly. I finally feel like myself again, strong, confident, and like a woman who's ready to take on the day.
Curious what makes it different? Scan the QR code now or visit grabdeal.us/8.
Advertisement Brady called it part of the ramp-up process, but explained that it is partly due to something that has bugged him during his coaching career. I've always been bothered by seeing coming out the first day of pads, and everyone's just adjusting and thinking about all the pads as opposed to the detail, the physicality, the mindset of how we want to practice, Brady explained. Today's more of the intentionality of, let's wake up. Let's wake up with the mentality that we've got to put our pads on. Let's get used to it. The Bills' first-year head coach was asked if he's seen that done before, which led to his decision, but he said he hadn't. I've just always been a little frustrated when guys are spending time thinking about their pads on the first day, and now we're gonna put the ball down, he said. It's like, stop fixing your shoulder pads. You know that rep didn't go that way because my chin strap wasn't where it needed to be, or so it's like let's get our focus on what it needs to be. Brady's goal in the unusual approach is to do a half-on, half-off day, which leads to the rest of a fully padded camp. I don't want any excuses when they come out tomorrow. It's like, hey, we've had the pads on, we've gone, the head coach said. Now, let's go be a little physical with it. In their first temporary day of pads, the Bills went through another rain-soaked practice, their third of the 4 practices so far this summer. Relatively good news on Gardner-Johnson with how things looked on Saturday, with projected starting safety CJ Gardner-Johnson getting carted to the locker room. Many feared the worst, that his season could be done. However, with the diagnosis coming in as a calf strain, it kept a big part of their new defense available at some point this season, once he's fully recovered. The Bills were mum on a timeline, as the return time from a calf strain can vary. However, especially with defensive backs relying on explosiveness in a game, it wouldn't be surprising if the Bills were extra cautious this time of year. Advertisement without Gardner-Johnson, the door opened for first-team reps. When the projected starter had to leave practice Saturday, the team's initial response was to insert veteran free agent signing Geno Stone into the first unit, alongside starting safety Cole Bishop. Stone did get some additional time with the first unit on Monday, but the Bills are seeing what else they have on the roster. That brought about an opportunity for longtime Bills safety Damar Hamlin to work with the top defensive team alongside Bishop. It's now the 6th season for Hamlin in Buffalo, though his first in a completely new defense under coordinator Jim Leonhard. Hamlin came into training camp seemingly on the wrong side of the bubble, given the sheer numbers at safety. The investment at the position in Gardner-Johnson, Stone, and rookie Jalan Kilgore, and Hamlin's low level of guaranteed money, $25,000, compared to his competition. However, Hamlin has done quite well with training camp opportunities in the past. Just 2 years ago, an early injury to Bishop was the catalyst for Hamlin spending the entire season as the team's starting safety. Though it seems unlikely, this circumstance would yield the same result for Hamlin in the starting lineup. This is as clear a chance to win a job on the 53-man roster as he may get. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that he makes Stone expendable, $187,500 guaranteed, should Stone struggle, while both Hamlin and rookie Jalon Kilgore make strides in Leonhard's defense. It remains an open-ended roster question with a month left to answer it. Houkt beginning to look like himself again when the Bills entered the offseason, they didn't quite know what this season would look like for edge rusher Michael Houkt. He suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon in early November, putting any potential return timeline up in the air. Houkt has remained steadfast in his desire to be ready for the start of the season, and judging by his practice activity level and movement abilities, that picture is beginning to become clearer for him. The pass rusher has consistently been working in on team drills and was a part of the second-team duo behind starters Greg Rouse and Bradley Chubb on Monday. More impressively, Houkt is doing things you wouldn't expect out of someone just coming back from a torn Achilles injury. In one-on-ones against third-year player Tylen Grable, Houkt was rushing from the defensive right side, got out of his stance quickly, and pulled out a jump step and turned the corner to clear Grable for a quick pressure. A move like that turns heads because of Houkt's journey this offseason. Advertisement should all this continue. It does make you wonder if it makes someone like veteran pass rusher Mike Danna expendable. The team signed Danna after the draft in May for an additional boost to its depth chart and guaranteed the majority of his one-year salary. However, that decision was made nearly 3 months ago, and the Bills may not have known Houkt would be moving this way so early in camp. As it stands, the Bills have 4 locks at outside linebacker in Rousseau, Chubb, Houkt, and top draft pick TJ. To keep Danna, the Bills either keep Six and Skimp at another position, or keep him ahead of Javon Solomon, whom the Bills appear invested in as a potential Core 4 special teams asset. Either way, from how the numbers looked ahead of camp to now with Houkt's progress, Houkt has changed the math on defense. One notable DL absence, while one former early draft pick remains behind a veteran during Saturday's practice, the Bills had their full complement of defensive linemen available, and we got a chance to see some of their rotation patterns and who was being used where. On Saturday, there was a minor shift due to the absence of second-year defensive lineman Dion Walker, who has spent time at both nose tackle and 4I this spring. The team did not issue an update as to why Walker sat out. However, without him, we were able to see their rotation and who moved up in his absence. As the Bills went through their team drill reps, it became clear that veteran Fedarian Mattheis, not third-year player Dwayne Carter, was the primary player who took over for Walker's missed reps. Mattheis and Carter have both been working at nose tackle when the Bills have used 3 defensive linemen in their base defense. Carter did not work in with the first unit on Saturday, a departure from what happened during the first 2 days of camp, though he did without Walker on Monday. The difference is Carter's reps came after Mattheis, with Mattheis also getting some first-team time on Saturday. Carter, the team's 2024 third-round pick, has been attempting to find a home in the Bills' new defense while coming back from a torn Achilles. But at least in the early stages, Carter appears behind Mattheis for the time being. Young, unheralded eye catchers W.R. Jamori McClinn is a bit of a smaller wide receiver at his listed height of 5'11", but he is a smooth route runner, and it's been noticeable that he's been able to separate from defenders a handful of times each practice. McClinn's road to the 53-man roster is a murky one, but as long as he continues showing positive signs when the Bills are in full pads, he's got clear full-year practice squad potential. CB Canny Walker. For a second straight practice, Walker worked as the second-team boundary cornerback along with second-round pick Davison Igbinosun. In the cornerback group, you can't miss the 6'2" Walker, as both his height and movement skills stand out. He's made an early impression as so much uncertainty remains about the cornerback group. The undrafted rookie will need to show that his hip fluidity can consistently withstand double moves before the Bills seriously consider making him the 4th boundary cornerback on the 53-man roster. Te Keleki Latu, it hasn't been consistent, but notably, Latu has taken a handful of snaps with quarterback Josh Allen. The Bills liked Latu as an undrafted rookie in 2025, and that's carried over into this training camp. It will be a tough task to convince the Bills to keep 4 tight ends in 2026, but Latu hasn't faded into the background of a talented group.